YouTuber King Riches out of the UK made a response video about this.
If I'm walking down the street and I see a black man with a white woman, there's a weakness in him.
Ooh.
What? This woman just said if she sees a black man with a white woman, she sees a weakness in him.
And of course, that is the classic hypocrisy that many of us have experienced and observed within some women. Let me give you some personal information. Earlier on in my adult life, I had a long-term relationship with a white woman. That was a long-term relationship. And in hindsight, it was probably a mistake to enter that relationship because there were many flaws. But, you know, being a young person, you tend to overlook these flaws. And in reality, it's good because you gain experience. As long as you don't jeopardize your life, you know, unwanted pregnancies and children, diseases, then really, you haven't really wasted your time. You have gained a lot of knowledge, right? So needless to say, after this long-term relationship, I made it my goal and quest to only seek black women. And this is because the main reason for that breakup was what I would deem as cultural difference. I think that many people who look at interracial couples from the outside looking in, they see it as a gimmick or they see it as some sort of fetishization of each other, right? Because a lot of this stems from, I would say, the porn industry and rebelliousness, especially with the white counterpart. Interracial relationships was illegal not too long ago in many countries. Most people who have experienced in interracial relationships, especially black men living in white countries, dealing with white women, you are anything but weak. Let me tell you that, okay? Most black men know the hardships of dealing with a white woman in a white country. Not even just your own country. You travel to other countries around the world, you are going to be met with looks that can range from fascination, curiosity, to outright hostility. It doesn't matter if your city is so-called multicultural, you're still going to be met with people who just clearly don't like your pairing and they treat you with disdain as if they know who you are, right? So many times, man, you could kiss a white woman in public. There are going to be some people that just look at you, some people that are just going to be pissed off with you. I've experienced one time walking hand in hand with a white woman, and I was walking past what looked like an Eastern European man with his kids, and what he did to his kids was to cover their eyes as if, basically saying them, that is wrong, don't do that. There are many people who have this mindset. So to call a black man weak for being in a relationship with a white woman is anything but. In fact, this is why I don't recommend wholeheartedly that black men go in interracial relationships, because now the obvious one is the cultural differences, yeah? You are dealing, I would say, the best fits for interracial relationships are people who are not too strongly attached to their own culture, so that there is a level of flexibility. Otherwise, if you're very proud and very traditional in your own culture and your partner and spouse is also very proud of their culture, you're going to find it hard to find a compromise. And in some aspects, black and white people can be polar opposites. But besides that, which is really common to most relationships, you're going to have to deal with open hostility. And I would say it predominantly will come from white men and black women. You will find many of these people are very hostile to your pairing. And it is unfortunate, and it's quite sad, because for the first time you might realize that, hey, the environment you're in will affect your own personal relationship. It might make you be a bit more homebound, less willing to be outgoing because you're not afraid, but you're kind of stressed out from constantly being judged and constantly being looked at, being pointed at, the potential chance for something weird to happen. You always have to be prepared to deal with these things. So I say that to say a black man in an interracial relationship has to be strong. You have to be strong-minded, have a strong will. You have to not allow people to interfere with what you want out of life. And that also includes your family, you see. Likewise, with my white relationship in the past, or with the relationship with the white woman in the past, I have black sisters. And what I've noticed is that many of these black sisters really and truly don't like me bringing home a white woman, because there is a level of inferiority complex, or there is this weird, almost incest-like feeling, like as if I portrayed them in choosing a white woman. They feel like they're not good enough. They can't and they won't voice this, especially if they're intelligent, because they know that they are in the wrong. But you can see by their mannerisms that they don't appreciate you bringing this white woman into the home. They feel invaded. You know, they don't feel comfortable. They will change their tonation to almost facilitate the white person. They will brag about their career, their achievements. And again, that is linked to the unfortunate reality of being black. It's like you have to always prove yourself when you're in a white society. And again, you need a strong mind and a strong will to not be suspect to that. You don't have to prove yourself to anyone. A lot of black women who think like this need to do a lot of self-work. And in my opinion, many of them need therapy, because this unfettered hatred, and to be clear, it is hatred of the fact that you as a black man can openly choose to do whatever you want in your life. It is hatred. They don't like that because they don't have the same type of options for them. You see, we can clearly see as black men that when you see black women with white men, I'm pretty sure, knowing you guys, you don't feel any way about it. In some cases, you might just congratulate them. Well, look, that's cool, that's good, I'm happy for you. But in my experience, black women seem to think that black men care when they're into interracial relationships. And in fact, that is what is weak, is this constant anxiety and feelings of shame in the relationship, with the white man or the white person that you're with. That's what's weak. A real man, a man who is heterosexual, doesn't care what color it is. You could be blue, green, red. You could be avatar skin color. A man wants a woman. But ultimately, a man wants a woman who's gonna compliment him, who's gonna respect him, who's not gonna talk down on him, who's not gonna think that she is superior than him. He doesn't need a slave. A man can cook, a man can clean, a man can live by himself very happily. A man has the internet, he can satisfy himself by himself, as weird as that might sound, but this is true. So a man really doesn't need you to be submissive. I think that's the wrong word that a lot of men use out of term. A man in 2025 just wants a woman that is respectful. That is really it. It doesn't matter about your degree, doesn't matter about your achievements, your, athletic prowess. A man doesn't care about that. And it's like, we can say this 100 times, but women still just want to believe what they want to believe. And this is why a lot of black women just fail to understand why they might not be being picked, why they might not be chosen. In fact, let me go back to my original story where after that relationship, I was trying to find black women, and I met a lot of black women in that time. Many different types of black women I was entertaining. African, West African, East African, black women who are based in different areas in Europe. But unfortunately for me, what I found is that certain stereotypes exist that I don't like. And I don't even want to be stereotypical, because I don't think that it's fair to, it doesn't encompass all black women. But what I found from my earlier age, and what probably led me to that white woman in my 20s, is that the fact that I need a deeper connection. I don't want to be talking about hip hop artists all day and who's the best rapper and who's the best singer. I don't want to be going to the club every week. I don't want to be hyped. I don't want to live a life based off of materialism. I don't want to be trying to keep up with the Joneses all the time. I don't want to lease out a big Mercedes Benz just because, that is what you do to show that you are, you are fake rich. I know it's a gross stereotype, but this is what a lot of black women find themselves in. You look at your typical black woman in the city, she's got all the name brands. You look at her going out, she's dressed to the nines, but beyond the dress, the jewels, the accessories, the vehicles, even her hair has been done up to a degree where it's like overdone. You're doing too much. Your nails, your makeup. Your makeup is expensive. You know, this for me has always been a sign of the devil, to be honest. Materialism. Having a lust for things. So that's why we find people with this sprinkle mentality, and this is why they don't respect men. They just see men as a utility. They see men for what they can do for them. And of course, I'm not saying that white women or non-black women all are angels and are not materialistic. Of course, many of them are. But what I think is happening is that, again, when you're a minority, you're most likely to come across women from the majority society who better matches your personality. The thing about minorities is that we are easily Borg-minded. You know, we easily act in a very similar way. You look at a group of black boys or black girls on the road in any city. Do they not all speak the same? You know, do black girls have that nasally tonality as if they're kids? You know, or do black boys not all dress in the same tracksuits and the same colors, wearing black, navy blue, looking the same? It's like if you're not proud of your individuality, it's so easy for you to be a part of the herd. And that will also affect your mentality as well. So you think to be black, you have to talk about hip hop, you have to go to the club, you have to be dancing, you always have to have a beat in your head, you have to tap a beat on the table. This is what you associate blackness with. It's sad because I think what led me to a lot of these non-black women is the simplicity of it. And that's what leads a lot of black men to other women. Simplicity. The idea of just going to a park on a summer's day and just relaxing, chilling, have a picnic. Maybe things have changed now because I'm an old man, but in my day, say 10, 20 years ago, you'd be hard pressed to find a woman that wants to go on a black woman that wants to go on a picnic date to chill, to relax. No, it's gonna be, look, take me to gauchos, take me to Selfridges, take me to these glamorous places, take me on trips. I want to experience first class. You know, again, it's not really a race issue, it's a class issue. You see, a lot of people that don't come from money, they obsess about money and the things that money can get them. If you haven't done the self-work, the self-talk, self-analysis, introspection that makes you realize that, hey, you don't want your happiness to be linked with a thing. You know, you don't want your happiness to be linked with money. You don't want your happiness to be linked to that Friday payday, because you're effectively on a hamster wheel. You're effectively, in order for you to be happy, you need things and you need money. And I think a lot of men are more so inclined to deny that. They are more so inclined to accept reality and to understand that these things are not a true measure of one's self-worth or happiness. But unfortunately, many black women remain in a hamster cage. Even though many black women who listen to these words, they know it's true, but they will still remain trapped in that hamster cage. Everything needs to be on fleek. And having that mindset, you unknowingly, or maybe knowingly now, disrespect the man who doesn't afford you or doesn't buy into your lifestyle. This is where we have all these corny conversations about 50-50 and who brings what to the table, who pays for the date. If you've dated, there has never been a white woman, I'll just be frank, there's never been a white woman, unless she was just straight up promiscuous and from a lower class family background. Every white woman or non-black woman I've dated has always been prepared to pay for a date. Now, even if they don't truly want to pay for it, even if they prefer that you pay for everything, they would always offer. But in my experience, it's only black women who, when the paycheck comes, when the bill comes, they look away or they pretend to not notice it or they smile at you because they don't have no respect. They don't care. They expect you to foot the bill. This is not even about masculinity, femininity. This is about, again, respect. All I want to say to the main topic is, again, don't be shamed. Don't be tricked by hypocritical people. This woman said, if a black man is with a white woman, he is weak. And if a black woman is with a white man, she's just tired and had enough. Can you believe that hypocrisy? And it really is this type of hypocrisy that makes a lot of these women insufferable. They are very, very, very hard to deal with, because just imagine having daily arguments and disputes with a woman who is this hypocritical. This is what a lot of these women fail to understand, that they are very hard to be with. And in my experience, the more attractive, the harder they are to be with. Very insufferable, very low self-awareness. And unfortunately, this plagues the black female community, especially when you have a mindset that is stuck in materialism. You distract yourself from the important things in life. So yeah, I just want to say to you black guys, man, and I know a lot of you know the truth, but there are some of you that I think are fence sitters. You know, you think you are being a traitor if you date if you date away from black women. And look, if you feel like that, again, do you. That's the most important thing. Be who you are, but don't be easily influenced by people who don't have good intentions for you. People who are self-serving. Don't be fooled, especially you younger guys who, you know, you live in these forums and on social media. You are very open to influence. So this is where I see a lot of younger men who are on the seesaw. One day they are pro-black, all black everything, and then another day they are, hey, hang on a minute, this is fugazi, this can't work, this hasn't been working. A lot of you need to just accept reality. And the reality that we can see across the board and in many countries around the world, in the diaspora outside of Africa, is that, yeah, a lot of black women's minds have been infiltrated. A lot of them are hypocrites. A lot of them don't think straight, and a lot of them do not respect black men. I don't care if you're from the USA, Brazil, Europe. And I say Brazil because a lot of people say, oh, the Afro-Latinas, they are the same as well. You just don't know as much. They are the same as well. They have the same self-esteem issues, the same daddy issues. And unfortunately, when you have these issues, you blame men in general for them. You blame men for not picking you, even though you have a bad attitude, even though you don't know how to show respect to men, even though you are argumentative and over-opinionated about everything. You judge everyone but yourself. Yeah, this is why a lot of black men go elsewhere, unfortunately. But you can't shame men into doing otherwise. That's not how it works. If you want men, you're gonna have to cooperate with men. You're gonna have to listen to what these men want. Because 2025, man, it's gonna be 2035 and it's gonna be even worse. And the economy is gonna make these instances even harsher, disparities even wider. You're gonna see a lot of lonely people versus a lot of people who have vibrant families. You know, many of them are gonna be mixed biracial families, which, you know, I know some people don't agree with that, but it is what it is. In my opinion, race is a social construct. In any relationship with any culture, with any ethnicity, your genetics go on to the next generation. So it doesn't matter if your kid can come out stone cold white, right, by some anomaly. But your genetics is what matters. It's not your skin color, it's not your hair type, it's not your eye color. Your genetics in terms of your DNA, that's the whole point of procreation. Okay? The point isn't to look exactly like your offspring. 1,000 years, you don't look exactly like your parents or your grandparents. That's not the point. You know, the point is that your name survives, your bloodline survives. That's your legacy. And that's the only legacy that you can leave on earth when you die. Well, that's up for debate, but hey, let me know what you think. Again, I don't post regularly, so what I do recommend you do is you hit the first link in the comments below and come and talk about this in a Discord in our community. Okay, we have a specialized Discord for this channel, and it will keep you up to date and it will allow you to keep talking about these topics with us. But until then, I'll catch you in the next video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, comment below. Peace.